The floor clock in the living room struck 11 times as I sat curled up on the sofa, hugging my knees. Some variety show was playing on the TV, but I hadn't taken in a single thing. The sound of a key turning came from the door, and I looked up to see Lu Chen pushing it open, his suit jacket draped over his arm, his tie hanging loosely around his neck, his face etched with exhaustion. Seeing that I was still awake, he paused in surprise. "Why aren't you resting yet? I was waiting for you." I turned off the TV. "Have you eaten?" "Yes." He tossed his jacket carelessly onto the armchair and sat down across from me, rubbing his temples with his fingers. I watched him. After 5 years of marriage, I knew this gesture all too well. Whenever something was weighing on his mind, he would rub his temples. "Did the business trip go smoothly?" I asked. He nodded, but his gaze drifted elsewhere. My heart sank. Something was off. Whenever Lu Chen couldn't look me in the eye, he was definitely hiding something. Silence stretched across the living room for a full 3 minutes. I waited for him to speak, but he kept his head down, lost in thought. "Sunyan," he finally called my name. There's something I need to confess to you." He lifted his head, his eyes red, looking at me with a face full of guilt. The string inside me tightened, but I kept my expression blank. I even picked up the water glass from the coffee table and took a sip. My tone as calm as if I were asking, "What's for dinner tonight?" "Go ahead." "This business trip." He paused, his Adam's apple bobbing. "I slept with Lin Wanru." My hand holding the water glass froze. Lin Wanru, his female secretary, 24 years old, who had only been at the company for 6 months. Every time she saw me, she would smile sweetly and call me sister-in-law, her voice dripping with honey. It was just this once. Seeing me silent, Lu Chen quickly added, "I was really drunk. I don't know what happened. I woke up the next day and we were together." "Sunyan, I'm sorry, but I really didn't want to lie to you." I placed the water glass back on the coffee table, my movements light, not making a sound. "When did it happen?" I asked. "The night after the business trip." "Oh," I nodded, and then, Lu Chen was clearly taken aback by my reaction. He probably expected me to cry, make a scene, throw things, or smash our wedding photo in her face, but I did none of that. I just looked at him calmly, as if listening to a stranger's story. "Sunyan, are you okay?" he asked cautiously. "I'm fine," I replied, even managing a faint smile. "You were drunk, right? I understand. Men sometimes can't control themselves." Lu Chen's expression turned strange. He probably didn't expect me to be so understanding. "So, what are you thinking?" he asked, after a moment of thought. I said, "Let's get a divorce." When those 2 words were spoken, the air in the living room seemed to vanish. Lu Chen froze on the sofa, his eyes wide, his mouth opening and closing without making a sound for a long time. What did you say?" "Divorce." I repeated it, my tone as calm as if I were saying, "The weather is nice today. You've already slept with someone else, haven't you? Then there's no need for this marriage to continue." "Sunyan," I apologized. I said, "I'm sorry." I heard you," I said, standing up and looking down at him. "You apologized, and I received it, so, what do you expect me to do? Cry and say it's okay, as long as you don't do it again, or should I say it's my fault too, that I didn't satisfy you enough?" Lu Chen was left speechless by my question. I said, "We've been married for 5 years. I gave you a son and took care of your mother. When your company was busy, I helped you entertain clients. You have a bad stomach, so I made sure you took your medicine every day. I believe I've been a good enough wife to you, so why can't you forgive me?" This time, he stood up, his voice tinged with grievance. "I really know I was wrong, and I promise it will never happen again. Can you guarantee Lin Wanru won't get pregnant?" I interrupted him. Lu Chen's expression instantly froze. I smiled. "Haven't you thought about this? You didn't use protection when you slept together. And even if you did, there's still a chance of pregnancy. What if she gets pregnant? Will you make her have an abortion? Or will you let her give birth and have me raise the child?" Lu Chen fell silent. "See," I spread my hands, "you haven't even thought it through yourself, so let's not drag this out. Let's part on good terms." I turned and walked toward the bedroom, stopping at the door to look back at him. "By the way, our son stays with me. You can decide what to do about the rest." "Sunyan." I ignored him and closed the bedroom door. The moment the door shut, I leaned against it and stood there for a long time. My palms were marked by my nails, and it hurt, but I didn't cry. Why should I cry? I wasn't the one who did something wrong. My phone chimed. I picked it up and saw a WeChat message from my best friend, Ju Yao. I heard your Lu Chen is back from his business trip. Let's have dinner tomorrow. I typed back, sure, by the way, I'm getting a divorce. Ju Yao replied instantly, we'll talk about it in person tomorrow. I muted my phone and lay down on the bed. There was no sound from the living room outside for a long time. I closed my eyes, but my mind started replaying scenes like a movie. The past 5 years, I married Lu Chen at 24, and everyone said I married above my station. The Lu family is wealthy and influential, and Lu Chen is the heir to the Lu group. I, on the other hand, come from an ordinary family. My mother-in-law, Mrs. Lu, looked down on me from the start, saying I wasn't good enough for her son, but I married him anyway because I loved him. At 25, I gave birth to our son, Lu Zixuan. Before I even finished my postpartum recovery, my mother-in-law started picking on me, complaining that my breast milk wasn't salty enough, that I didn't know how to take care of the baby, and that my family was too poor to be of any help. As for Lu Chen, every time, he'd just say, Mom, that's just how it is, please bear with it. At 27, his company got busy, and he started working overtime and traveling for business every day. When I asked him why he was never home, he said it was to give me and our son a better life, and I believed him. At 28, he promoted a young, beautiful secretary named Lin Wanru. That girl was sweet-tongued. She called me sister-in-law affectionately whenever she saw me, and I didn't think much of it. Now, at 29, I turned over and looked at the wedding photo on the nightstand. In the photo, I was smiling happily, leaning against his shoulder, while he held me by the waist and looked down at me, his eyes so tender they seemed to drip with affection. It was all fake. I flipped the photo face down and closed my eyes. The next morning, when I got up, Lu Chen was still sitting in the living room. Having stayed up all night, he was unshaven, with sunken eyes, looking 10 years older than he had the night before. Sun Yan, he stood up as soon as he saw me. Let's talk this through properly. There's nothing to talk about, I said, walking to the kitchen to pour myself a glass of water. Lawyer, I've made the arrangements. This afternoon, bring me your documents. The agreement is drafted, you just need to sign it. As for our son, he'll stay with me, I'll handle him. Your mother has been constantly fussing over Zixuan, complaining that I don't know how to raise him. Now it's perfect, you can find someone who knows how to be a stepmother for Zixuan. Lin Wanru is a good choice. She's sweet-talking and will definitely make your mother happy. Sun Yan, can you stop being so sarcastic? I turned around to look at him, studying this man seriously. The man I loved for 5 years, gave birth to his child, took care of his daily life, and respected his parents. In return, he slept with his secretary after getting drunk, then came home and confessed to me, expecting me to be magnanimous and forgive him. Lu Chen, I said, I'm not being sarcastic, I genuinely don't care anymore. Sleep with whoever you want, it has nothing to do with me. I put down the water glass, went back to the bedroom to grab my phone, and opened the company's WeChat group. There were hundreds of unread messages, but I didn't click into them. Instead, I scrolled to Lin Wanru's moments. At 2 a.m. last night, she posted, happiness came too suddenly, can't sleep red heart hash. The accompanying picture was a selfie of her. The background looked like a hotel. I zoomed in on the photo and noticed a red mark on her neck. I smiled, this girl is really in a hurry. Early the next morning, when I got up, Lu Chen was still sitting on the sofa. The ashtray was filled with cigarette butts. He saw me come out and opened his mouth as if to say something. I walked straight past him into the bathroom to wash up. After finishing, I picked up my phone and called the lawyer. Lawyer Ju, it's me, Sun Yan. Could you please draft a divorce agreement for me as soon as possible? I'll come pick it up this afternoon. Lawyer Ju said something on the other end of the line. I hummed a few times and hung up. Lu Chen stood at the bathroom door, his face looking terrible. Sun Yan, are you really going to be this ruthless? I looked at him through the mirror. Ruthless? Lu Chen, when you slept with someone else, did you ever think about whether it was ruthless or not? I already told you I was drunk, he said. Drunk? I turned around. If you were drunk, how could you still get hard? If you were drunk, how could you find the right door? If you were drunk, how could you finish and still make it back to your own room? Lu Chen, do you think I'm a 3-year-old? He was left speechless by my retort. I dried my face, squeezed past him, and walked into our son's room. Zixuan was already awake, sitting on the bed playing with toys. When he saw me come in, he stretched out his arms and called, Mommy. I picked up my son and kissed his little cheek. Zishuan, how about Mommy takes you to Grandma's house to play today? Okay, a 3-year-old doesn't understand anything. He just knows there will be delicious food at Grandma's house. Lu Chen followed me to the door. Sunyan. You can't take Zishuan away. Why not? I held our son and turned to look at him. Lu Chen, I made it very clear last night. Our son stays with me. If you don't agree, we'll see each other in court. By then, all your dirty little secrets will be laid out one by one in front of the judge. Do you think you'll come out looking good? His face flushed a deep purplish red, and I couldn't be bothered to deal with him any longer. I went into the walk-in closet. Haphazardly packed a few clothes into my suitcase, while Xian ran around beside me, stuffing his toy cars into my luggage. Why are Mommy and Daddy unhappy? He asked, looking up at me with his little face. I crouched down and patted his head. Daddy made a mistake and needs some time alone to calm down. Xian, how about coming to Grandma's house with Mommy for a few days? Okay. The carefree child bounced along as we headed out the door. Walking into the living room, Lu Chen stood by the door, blocking Sunyan. You can't just leave like this. I looked up at him. Then what do you want? For me to make room for you and Lin Wanru? Don't worry, I'll step aside right now. You two can sleep however you want. No one will bother you. That's not what I meant. Then what do you mean? I cut him off. Lu Chen. Get this straight, you're the one who cheated. You're the one who wronged me, not the other way around. What do you mean by stopping me now? If you can't bear to let me go, then you shouldn't have slept with someone else. He was left speechless. I pulled my suitcase along, picked up my son, and walked past him. I opened the door and left without looking back. In the elevator, Zishuan asked me, Mommy, what mistake did Daddy make? I thought for a moment and said, Daddy was tricked by a fox spirit from another family. What's a fox spirit? A bad woman. Zishuan frowned, thinking hard for a while, then said very seriously, then Daddy is really silly. I couldn't help but laugh. Yes, really silly. When we arrived at my parents' house, my mother was startled to see me return with a suitcase. Nyan Nyan, what's going on? Did you have a fight with Lu Chen? Mom, I'm getting a divorce. I put down the suitcase, my tone calm. My mother stood frozen in the doorway, speechless for a long time. My father came out of the room, and his expression changed when he heard this. What happened? Lu Chen bullied you. He cheated. I said it was with his female secretary. The living room fell silent for a few seconds. Then my mom slapped her thigh and said, I knew that vixen was no good. Last time she came over for dinner, her eyes kept darting toward Lu Chen, clearly up to no good. My dad's face darkened. What did Lu Chen say? He confessed to me last night, said he drank too much. Drank too much. My dad sneered. Drinking too much is an excuse. Nyan Nyan, what do you plan to do? Get a divorce, I said. I've already contacted a lawyer. I'm going to sign the agreement this afternoon. My dad nodded and didn't say anything else. My mom started chattering away, cursing Lu Chen, cursing Lin Wanru, cursing the whole Lu family for being no good. I didn't interrupt, just held Zi Xian and sat on the sofa in a daze. At 2 in the afternoon, I handed Zi Xian over to my mom and went to Lawyer Ju's office. Lawyer Ju is a woman in her 40s who has been handling divorce cases for over a decade. She's seen it all. She pushed the drafted agreement in front of me. Nyan Nyan, have you thought it through? I've thought it through. I flipped through the agreement. The property division section stated, marital property split 50/50ths, savings split 50/50ths, custody of our son goes to me. And Lu Chen pays monthly child support. That's it. Lawyer Ju seemed a bit surprised. You're not fighting for more. He cheated first. You could demand he leaves with nothing. No need. I'm fine with the agreement. I don't want to drag this out too long. The sooner it's over, the sooner I'm free. Lawyer Ju glanced at me and sighed. All right. As long as you've thought it through. But Nyan Nyan, there's one thing I have to remind you. If you sign this agreement now and later discover something else, it'll be too late to add anything. I understand. I took the agreement and drove back to the villa. Lu Chen was still home, looking like he hadn't gone out all day. I slapped the agreement in front of him and told him to sign. He picked it up, flipping through page by page. When he reached the end, he looked up at me. Are you really going to do this? I couldn't be bothered with small talk and just handed him the pen. His hand holding the pen trembled, his eyes reddened. Sunyan, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Can you give me one more chance? Zi Xian can't grow up without a dad. Lu Chen. I cut him off. Zixuan won't be without a dad, he just won't be living with his dad, you can see him whenever you want. Custody going to me doesn't mean he's not your son. What about you? He looked at me. Do you really not love me anymore? I remained silent for a few seconds, then said, I loved you. Those 2 words pierced his heart like 2 knives. His tears finally fell, and the hand holding the pen trembled even more violently. Watching his tears, I felt not a single ripple in my heart. The pain from last night had already been completely digested. Crying, now it was his turn to cry. It's not for me to sign, I said. He signed, stroke by stroke, and after writing the last character, he seemed completely drained, collapsing into the chair. I picked up the agreement and carefully reviewed it, confirming there were no issues before putting it into my bag. Tomorrow morning at 9, at the Civil Affairs Bureau entrance, I said, don't forget to bring your documents. Sunyan, he called out to me. I stopped but didn't turn around. What are your plans for the future? I thought for a moment and said, to live well with Zixuan. I opened the door and walked out. Behind me came the sound of something crashing to the floor, probably an ashtray or something else. I ignored it, went straight into the elevator, and left the villa area. Standing by the roadside waiting for a car, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. I answered, and a sweet, delicate voice came from the other end. Sister-in-law, it's me, Wanru. We have something to discuss, sister-in-law. I heard from President Liu that you're getting a divorce. She paused. Sister-in-law. It's all my fault. I'm also responsible for that night. I shouldn't have let President Liu drink so much. I laughed coldly. Lin Wanru, are you calling to apologize or to show off? Sister-in-law, that's not what I meant. I really feel terribly sorry for you. Enough, I interrupted. Lin Wanru, let's be frank. I know what you're thinking, and you've seen my attitude. I'm getting a divorce. Lu Cheng is yours. Do whatever you want, it has nothing to do with me. Don't call me again. Sister-in-law, you've misunderstood me. I hung up the phone, saved the number in my contacts, and labeled it, homewrecker, divorce certificate in hand. The weather was exceptionally good that day, the sunlight glaring. Lu Chen stood at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, his eyes red as he looked at me. Sunyan, can we still be friends in the future? Friends, I smiled. Lu Chen, have you ever seen a friend who doesn't have to take responsibility after sleeping together? Enough with the sentimentality. From now on, let's each live our own lives. I tucked the divorce certificate into my bag, hailed a taxi, and headed straight to the villa. No, I should say my villa now. The agreement was clear. This house belongs to me, and Lu Chen has to move out within a week. When I arrived at the villa, I opened the door and went inside. The living room was already mostly tidied up, with Lu Chen's suitcases piled by the entrance. It looked like he was moving out today. He stood in the middle of the living room, his expression complicated when he saw me come in. I'm here to get the last of my things. I didn't say much and went straight upstairs to the bedroom. The bedroom had already been emptied by him, only my clothes remained in the wardrobe, and on the nightstand were a few photo frames, our wedding photos from when we got married. He hadn't even taken them. I put the photo frames into a drawer and suddenly noticed a yellow file folder tucked at the very back. What's this? I pulled it out and opened it. Inside was a medical examination report, Lin Wanru's medical examination report, dated 3 months ago, the health check she did when she joined the company. I flipped through it. The first few pages were routine checkup items, height, weight, blood pressure, blood tests, nothing out of the ordinary. When I turned to the last page, my eyes froze. That page was for the gynecological examination, and it clearly stated, enlarged uterus consistent with early pregnancy, regular prenatal checkups recommended. The words early pregnancy struck me like a thunderbolt. I flipped back to the cover of the report and looked at the date again. 3 months ago. 3 months ago, Lin Wanru was already pregnant, and Lu Chen confessed to me that he slept with Lin Wanru 2 weeks ago when she was on a business trip. The timing doesn't match up. It just doesn't add up at all. My hands trembled as I flipped through the report over and over, making sure I hadn't misread it. The enlarged uterus is consistent with early pregnancy. Early pregnancy means the initial stages of pregnancy. Based on the timing of this report, Lin Wanru was already pregnant 3 months ago. That means she has been pregnant for at least 4 months now. 4 months. And Lu Chen's drunken indiscretion with her happened 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. A woman who was over 4 months pregnant could still sleep with a man. I laughed so hard that tears nearly came to my eyes. Lu Chen, oh Lu Chen, you really are a fool. You thought it was your own affair, but in the end, you were just taking the fall for someone else. I stuffed the report back into the folder and took it downstairs. Lu Chen was still tidying up in the living room. When he saw me coming down, he paused and asked, "What's wrong?" I handed him the folder and said, "Take a look at this." He took it, pulled out the report, flipped through a few pages, and didn't understand what it was. Lin Wanru's medical report. "Why are you showing me this?" I said. Flipped to the last page. He turned to it, looked for a few seconds, and his expression slowly changed. "What does this mean?" He looked up at me, his eyes filled with disbelief. "What does this mean?" I leaned against the stair railing, watching him with leisurely composure. "Mr. Lu, is there something wrong with your intelligence? The medical report from 3 months ago shows early pregnancy. Early pregnancy means she's pregnant. You slept with her 2 weeks ago. What do you think that means?" His face turned from red to pale, from pale to ashen, and finally to the color of liver. "No, it's impossible," he muttered to himself. "He told me he wasn't pregnant, said it was his safe period." I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Safe period, Lu Chen, you're in your 30s and still believe in that nonsense about safe periods. He slammed the report on the coffee table and pulled out his phone to call Lin Wanru. I asked him, but he ignored me. The call connected, and he shouted into the phone, "Lin Wanru, come to my house right now." After hanging up, he paced back and forth in the living room like a trapped animal. I sat on the sofa, picked up the report, and read it again. The words "enlarged uterus consistent with early pregnancy" looked more pleasing the more I read them. "What do you plan to do?" I asked. He stopped pacing and looked at me, his expression incredibly complicated. "Sunyan, what if this child really isn't mine?" I smiled. "The divorce is finalized. The papers are signed. Whether she's pregnant with your child or not has nothing to do with me." He was left speechless by my response. Half an hour later, the doorbell rang. Lu Chen went to answer it. Lin Wanru walked in wearing a loose dress and high heels, a sweet smile on her face. "Mr. Lu, you wanted to see me." Before she could finish, she noticed me sitting on the sofa. Her smile stiffened for a moment but quickly returned to normal. "Sister-in-law is here too." "Don't call me sister-in-law," I said. "Mr. Lu and I are already divorced. Just call me Sunyan." She paused, then lowered her head and smiled, looking coy and shy. "Sister Su." Lu Chen slapped the medical report in front of her. "What is this?" Lin Wanru picked it up and glanced at it, her face instantly changing. "Mr. Lu, this is my medical report from when I joined the company. What's wrong?" Lu Chen's voice rose an octave. "You were pregnant 3 months ago. Why didn't you tell me when you slept with me?" Lin Wanru's face turned from red to white, then from white to pale, changing several colors in just a few seconds. "Mr. Lu, let me explain." Her voice began to tremble. "Explain what?" I interjected. "Explain how you calculated the dates, or explain whose child it really is." Lin Wanru turned sharply to look at me, her eyes filled with hatred. I smiled at her. "Don't look at me like that. It wasn't me who got you pregnant. I'm just curious about whose child this is. Are you planning to make Lu Chen the cheap father?" "Sunyan." Lu Chen glared at me. I shrugged. All right, you two talk. I'm going upstairs to pack my things." I stood up, walked past them, and went upstairs. Behind me, Lu Chen's roar and Lin Wanru's sobs echoed. I closed the bedroom door, shutting out those sounds. I opened the wardrobe and started packing my clothes. My hands were shaking, but not from sadness, from excitement. This medical report was like a gift from heaven. I originally just wanted a quiet divorce, to go our separate ways from then on. But this girl Lin Wanru wasn't honest. She insisted on flaunting herself in front of me. So don't blame me for not being polite. I took out my phone and took a photo of the report. When I went downstairs earlier, I casually snapped a photo with my phone. It was very clear, with the words "enlarged uterus consistent with early pregnancy" clearly captured. I saved the photo to a private album, then sent a WeChat message to Ju Yao. "Come out for dinner tonight. There's a good show to watch." Ju Yao replied instantly. "What show?" I replied. "I'll teach you a lesson on what instant karma means." At 8 o'clock in the evening, Ju Yao and I sat in a hot pot restaurant. I recounted the whole story from beginning to end. Ju Yao's eyes grew wider and wider as she listened, and she nearly dropped her chopsticks into the pot. "Holy shit," she slapped the table. "Sunyan, Your divorce is totally worth it. It's like dodging a bullet. I dipped a piece of tripe into the hot pot and ate it slowly. Who says it isn't? So, what are you planning to do? Just let that despicable couple off so easily? Ju Yaro looked indignant. I smiled. Do you think I'm the kind of person who takes a loss? Ju Yaro looked at me, her eyes lighting up. Are you planning to stir things up? I pulled up the photo of the medical report on my phone and showed it to her. After reading it, Ju Yaro's mouth fell open in an O shape. This is real, absolutely true. 3 months ago, during the pre-employment physical, she was already pregnant. Ju Yaro handed the phone back to me, looking excited. Then why don't you send it out right away? Post it in their company group chat and let everyone see this vixen's true colors. No rush. I put my phone away. Let him jump around for a couple more days. Why should I let him finish his own act? I picked up my teacup and took a sip. This afternoon, when Lu Chen confronts him, he'll definitely try to cover it up. Let him weave his story. The more outrageous, the better. It'll be more interesting when we expose him later. Ju Yaro gave me a thumbs up. Sunyan, I never realized you were so cunning before. Forced into it. I smiled. Even a rabbit bites when cornered. After dinner, I went home, put Zishuan to sleep, and lay in bed scrolling through my phone. The WeChat work group for Lu's group had hundreds of messages. Even though I'm divorced, I haven't left the group yet. Lu Chen never mentioned it, and I couldn't be bothered to leave on my own. I clicked in and saw they were discussing the company's annual party next week. Someone had posted a photo of Lin Wanru taken in the office, wearing a red dress, with the caption, "Wanru, sis, this dress is so beautiful, wear it to the annual party." A bunch of people followed with compliments. I scrolled through the comments, a smile on my lips. Go ahead and praise her. The more they praise her now, the harder the slap in the face will be later. I scrolled through Lin Wanru's social media again. Around 5 in the afternoon, she posted, "Life always has its storms, but I will embrace them with strength." The accompanying picture was a selfie with red, teary eyes, as if she had just cried. Someone commented asking what happened, and she replied, "It's nothing. Just a little misunderstanding. It's been cleared up now." I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Lin Wanru, oh Lin Wanru. Do you know that your medical report is right here in my hands? How are you going to explain that away? For the next 2 days, I went about my life as usual. I took Zishuan to the amusement park, went shopping with my mom, and bought groceries. Life was leisurely and comfortable. Lu Chen called me a few times, but I didn't answer. He sent me a WeChat message asking if I still had a copy of the report, but I didn't reply. On the third night, I received a text message from an unfamiliar number. Sunyan, this is Lin Wanru. I know you have my medical report. Name your price. I looked at the message and laughed. This girl really thinks she's something special. I didn't reply, and she sent another one. Sunyan, don't go too far. You and Lu Chen are already divorced. This has nothing to do with you. What good will it do you to release the report? I still didn't reply. A third message came. Sunyan, don't push me. If you push me too far, I'll do anything. I replied, alright, let's see what you can do. After sending that, I muted my phone and went to sleep. The next morning, I woke up to over a dozen missed calls on my phone, all from Lu Chen, and dozens of WeChat messages. I clicked into the company's group chat and saw a screenshot someone had posted. It was a text conversation between me and Lin Wanru, with the last message cropped out, leaving only the earlier ones. The caption read, "Everyone, take a look at who's threatening our Wanru." A group of people started commenting, "Isn't that Lu Chen's ex-wife, still causing trouble after the divorce? Wanru, don't be afraid, we've got your back." What kind of person uses someone else's medical report to blackmail them? Have they no shame? I looked at these messages and laughed until my stomach hurt. Lin Wanru, oh Lin Wanru, do you know you're digging your own grave? I didn't rush to explain. Instead, I called Lu Chen first. He answered immediately. Sunyan, did you see it? I asked. I saw it, he said, his voice tired. Sunyan, can you please stop causing trouble? Causing trouble? I laugh at Lu Chen. You need to understand that he's the one making a scene. What have I done with that report these past 2 days? I haven't done anything. He jumped out on his own to throw dirt on me. You say I'm making a scene. He fell silent for a few seconds. Then what do you plan to do? You look at me and say, I'll put on a good show for you. After hanging up the phone, I opened the company's main group chat and sent out the full photo of that medical report. with the caption congratulating Manager Lu on becoming a father. But let me remind Manager Lu, this report is from 3 months ago. And Lin Wanru was already 6 weeks pregnant at that time. You do the math, whose child is this really? The group instantly fell silent, a deathly silence, for a full 3 minutes. No one said a word, and then messages started exploding like crazy. Holy shit, what's going on? She was pregnant 3 months ago. But she and Manager Lu only got together 2 weeks ago. Oh my god, the timing doesn't match up. So, whose child is Wanru really carrying? Oh my god, this is too big of a scandal. I watch those messages, a smile curling at the corner of my mouth. My phone rings, it's Lu Chen calling. I answer, and his trembling voice comes through from the other end. Sunyan, why did you send that? To give you a heads up, I say, so you don't end up raising someone else's child without knowing. Do you have any idea how this makes it impossible for me to hold my head up at the company? I laugh out loud. Lu Chen, when you were cheating, why didn't you think about how to hold your head up? Your wife hasn't even divorced you yet, and you're already with your female secretary. Why didn't you think about how people at the company would see you? He's left speechless. Before the call ends, another call comes in. It's Lin Wanru's number. I say to Lu Chen, alright, your little lover is looking for me. I'll take her call first. The call was switched over, and Lin Wanru's sharp voice came through the other end. Sunyan, you bitch, what gives you the right to post my medical report? What right do you have? I replied slowly. Because you're the one who threw dirt on me. Didn't you say I was blackmailing you? Well, I'll just let everyone see what I'm blackmailing you for. You're violating my privacy. I laughed. Lin Wanru, you're just a secretary. Your pre-employment medical report is company archived material. As the former CEO's wife, is there a problem with me accessing a company file? Besides, what's so shameful on that report? Isn't it a good thing to be pregnant? Didn't you want to have Lu Chen's child, so why isn't the child his now? Feeling guilty? Are you? You're talking nonsense. The child is Lu Chen's, is that so? I said, then explain how you got pregnant 3 months ago. At that time, Lu Chen was staying at home every day and had little contact with you. He was left speechless by my question. Lin Wanru, I said, you know exactly whose child that is in your belly. Don't try to pin this mess on Lu Chen. Divorcing him is one thing. But that doesn't mean I'm happy to see him being played for a fool by you. I hung up the phone and checked the group chat. The messages were already flooding in. Someone said, so Sister Wanru is pregnant with someone else's child and wants Mr. Lu to take the blame. Oh my god, that's so disgusting. I always thought she was a nice person, but she's actually a green tea bitch. Mr. Lu is so unlucky, cheating and ending up with a cuckold. I'm dying of laughter. Is this karma? I was just looking at my phone when it rang again. It was Lu Chen's mother, my former mother-in-law, Mother Lu. I hesitated for a moment but still answered. On the other end, Sunyan heard Mother Lu's sharp voice. What did you post online? You've completely disgraced my son. Mom, I had just started speaking when she cut me off. Don't call me Mom, you're divorced from my son. So what are you calling me Mom for? Her voice was sharp and harsh. Let me tell you, Sunyan. Posting those things is just ruining my son. If anything happens to my son, I won't let you off. I took a deep breath and spoke calmly. Auntie Lu, get this straight. Your son cheated first. I didn't post about him sleeping with Lin Wanru. I already spared him that embarrassment. Now, this issue is Lin Wanru's own problem. What does it have to do with me? And besides, I interrupted her. Your son was completely fooled by Lin Wanru. I helped expose this scam, and instead of thanking me, you're here scolding me. Auntie Lu, maybe you should get your head checked. There was a sharp, hurried gasp on the other end, followed by a loud click as the call ended. I looked at my phone and shrugged. This was just the beginning. The next morning, I received a call from Lu Chen. Sunyan, are you free today? His voice sounded utterly exhausted, as if he hadn't slept all night. What is it? There are some procedures at the company that require you to come and sign. He paused. There are also some joint accounts from before the divorce that need to be unlinked. You'll have to come in person. I thought for a moment. Alright, what time? 10 o'clock. I'll be waiting for you in the office. After hanging up, I changed my clothes, dropped Zishuan off at my mom's place, and drove to the Lu Group. Along the way, my mind raced through several possibilities. The divorce procedures were already finalized. What joint accounts could possibly need unlinking? Lu Chen's excuse was truly flimsy, but I went anyway. I wanted to see what expressions they wore after yesterday's storm. I parked the car downstairs and looked up at the 30-story building. In the past, every time I came here, I would check in at the front desk and take the private elevator up. Now, I walked straight through the main entrance. The security guard saw me and hesitated for a moment before stepping aside to let me into the elevator. When the elevator doors opened on the 28th floor, I immediately sensed something was off. The receptionist girl avoided eye contact with me, pretending to be engrossed in her computer screen. A few employees passing by made a wide detour around me as if I were the plague. I smiled faintly and walked straight toward Lu Chen's office. The office door was slightly ajar. I knocked twice and pushed it open. Lu Chen was sitting behind his desk, his face pale and dark circles under his eyes. Clearly, he hadn't been resting well. When he saw me enter, he stood up. Sun Yan, you're here. I sat down across from him. What documents need signing? He opened his mouth to speak, but just then, the office door was suddenly pushed open. Lin Wanru rushed in. Wearing a loose maternity dress, her belly slightly rounded. When she saw me, her eyes immediately reddened, and she shrieked, Sun Yan, you bitch, how dare you show your face here? I leaned back in my chair, looking her up and down. What, is this company yours? Am I not allowed to be here? She lunged forward, her finger nearly poking my face. Those things you posted yesterday made me the laughingstock of the whole company. Do you have any idea how miserable I am? I calmly brushed her finger aside and said slowly, You're miserable. What's miserable about being pregnant with someone else's child? Or is it miserable because you got caught lying? I didn't lie, she screamed. The child is Lu Chen's, isn't it? I smiled. Then explain the medical report from 3 months ago. What's that about? She froze for a moment, then quickly said, That was a mistake. I got the dates wrong. I wasn't actually pregnant then, it was a misdiagnosis. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Lin Wanru, do you think this is like bargaining at a vegetable market? A doctor misdiagnosed you. Show me the medical report. An enlarged uterus, consistent with early pregnancy, that's a misdiagnosis. What doctor would dare misdiagnose that? His face flushed red, and he turned to look at Lu Chen. Mr. Lu, you have to believe me. I really didn't lie to you. Lu Chen sat there without saying a word. His face so dark it could drip water. Lin Wanru grew anxious, rushing over to grab his arm. Mr. Lu, the child really is yours. If you don't believe me, we can do a paternity test after the baby is born. I interjected. Lin Wanru, you're really playing your cards well. What if the child isn't Lu Chen's after it's born? Are you planning to have him raise it for a few years first? Shut up, he yelled at me. Lu Chen finally spoke. Enough. Those 2 words left Lin Wanru stunned. Lu Chen shook off her hand, stood up, and walked to the window, turning his back to us. Lin Wanru, his voice was low. That night, did anything actually happen between us? As soon as he said this, Lin Wanru's face instantly turned pale. I was also stunned. What did he mean? What did he mean by did anything actually happen? Lin Wanru opened her mouth but couldn't speak for a long time. Lu Chen turned around and looked at her. I'm asking you a question. Did we sleep together that night or not? The office was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. I sat there watching this scene, and my heart suddenly skipped a beat. Could it be that nothing happened that night? Lin Wanru's tears fell, and she knelt on the floor with a thud. Mr. Lu, you were drunk that night. I helped you back to your room, and then what? And then you fell asleep. Her voice grew softer and softer. Lu Chen's face instantly twisted. So I never touched you at all. Lin Wanru nodded tearfully, and I almost applauded from where I sat. The plot twist was just too brilliant. Then why did you lie to me? Lu Chen's voice trembled. Why did you say we slept together? Lin Wanru knelt on the floor, crying as if her heart would break. Because I like you, President Lu. I wanted to be with you. That night, I originally intended to. But you fell asleep, I thought, since you were drunk anyway. Even if I said we slept together, you wouldn't remember. I couldn't help but interject. So you had it all planned out, tricking her into thinking you slept together. Then you'd pretend to be pregnant with his child and marry into a wealthy family. Lin Wanru, your script is just too melodramatic. Lin Wanru raised her head and glared at me with hatred. It's all because of you. If you hadn't sent that medical report, I would have succeeded. Once the child was born, I'd just say it was premature. No one would have ever found out. Lu Chen's expression was indescribable. He stood there as if struck by lightning, his lips trembling, unable to utter a single word. I stood up and walked over to Lin Wanru, looking down at her. Lin Wanru, you're truly a talent. But you forgot to account for one thing, he's right in front of me. Do you think Lu Chen is some kind of saint? I laughed. His affair was real, he wanted to sleep with you, and that was real too. If you had actually climbed into his bed that night, he might have been thrilled, but alas, your acting was too convincing, you turned a fake scene into a real one. Now that the truth is out, who can you blame? Lin Wanru was stunned. I turned to look at Lu Chen. President Lu, did you hear that? The girl never slept with you, you just thought you got lucky, but in the end, you got nothing and even lost a wife. That's a terrible deal. Lu Chen's face turned from pale to green. Then from green to purple, and finally, he spat out a mouthful of blood. I was startled and took a step back. Lin Wanru was also terrified, kneeling there motionless. Lu Chen leaned on the table, gasping for breath, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. Several people rushed in from outside the door, scrambling to support him. I stood to the side, watching this farce unfold with mixed emotions. Lu Chen was helped onto the sofa to lie down. Someone called an ambulance, and the office descended into chaos. Lin Wanru remained kneeling on the floor, crying uncontrollably. I took out my phone and snapped a photo. Lu Chen lay on the sofa, his face as pale as paper, blood still staining the corner of his mouth. Then I turned to leave. Sun Yan, Lu Chen's weak voice came from behind me. I stopped and looked back at him. He stared at me, his eyes filled with regret and pain. I'm sorry, I smiled. Lu Chen, save those words for yourself. I opened the door and walked out. The hallway was crowded with employees watching the commotion. Seeing me come out, they quickly made way. As I passed the front desk, the young girl finally looked up and whispered, Sister Su, you're amazing. I nodded at her and stepped into the elevator. The moment the elevator doors closed, I let out a long sigh of relief. It felt good. So good. On the third day after returning from the company, I was at home playing with Zishuan, building blocks. When the doorbell suddenly rang, I looked through the peephole and my heart sank. Standing outside was my former mother-in-law, Mrs. Lu. She was wearing her signature deep purple cheongsam, her hair neatly pinned up, her face wearing its usual haughty expression, and she was holding a thermal container. I hesitated for 2 seconds but still opened the door. Sun Yan glanced me up and down, her tone cold. Aren't you going to invite me in? I stepped aside. Please come in. She walked in on her high heels, her eyes scanning the room before finally settling on Zishuan. Grandma Zishuan saw her and happily ran over. Mrs. Lu's expression softened slightly as she bent down to pat his head. Zishuan, be good. Grandma brought your favorite chicken soup. She placed the thermal container on the coffee table and sat down on the sofa. I stood to the side without sitting. Sit, she said, looking up at me. I'm not here to argue. I sat down on the single sofa opposite her, waiting for her to speak. After a moment of silence, she said, Lu Chen is in the hospital. I nodded. I know. Did he vomit blood? I was there. She frowned. You just watched him vomit blood. What else could I do? I retorted. I wiped his mouth. Aunt Lu Chen and I are divorced. His life or death has nothing to do with me. She took a deep breath, suppressing her anger. Sun Yan, I came today to tell you something. I'm waiting for that Lin Wanru. When she mentioned the name, her tone was full of disgust. The child in her belly is indeed not Lu Chen's. I know that child is her ex-boyfriend's. Mrs. Lu continued. She was with that man for 3 years, got pregnant, and the man didn't want to take responsibility and ran away. She wanted to find someone to take the fall and happened to set her sights on Lu Chen. I nodded without saying a word. Lu's mother looked at me with a complicated expression. I know it was Lu Chen who was in the wrong when it came to the affair. As his mother, I won't make excuses for him. But now he's lying in the hospital, completely broken. The doctor said he's suffering from acute emotional distress, and if this continues, his health will seriously deteriorate. I still didn't speak. She paused, her tone softening. Sun Yan, could you go see him? I smiled. Auntie Lu, do you know what he said to me when we divorced? He asked, can we still be friends? I didn't answer him at the time. Do you know why? I looked at her. Because friends don't betray you. Friends don't run off to sleep with other women while you're working hard to give birth, serving your mother-in-law, and managing the household. I spoke each word clearly. He is not my friend, he is my ex-husband. Nothing more. Lu's mother's expression changed. But she held back her anger. Sunyan, her voice softened. I know you're angry. What Lu Chen did was wrong, and as his mother, I'm ashamed of him. But he is, after all, Zishuan's father. Zishuan can't be without a father. Whether Zishuan has a father or not isn't up to me. I said, it was his own choice. When he chose to cheat, he should have considered that his son might no longer need him. Lu's mother fell silent for a long moment. Then she took a craft paper envelope from her bag, placed it on the coffee table, and pushed it toward me. What is this? An apartment, she said, in the city center, 120 square meters, fully renovated, paid in full, it's registered in your name. I looked at the envelope but didn't touch it. Sunyan, this is my own money. It has nothing to do with Lu Chen. Lu's mother's voice choked up a little. You've suffered a lot in this family over the years. I know I have a sharp tongue. I speak harshly, and I haven't treated you well, but you are Zishuan's mother. I've never forgotten that. I looked up at her. Her eyes were red. Sunyan, I'm not asking you to forgive Lu Chen, and I'm not asking you to remarry him. I just want you to give him a chance to make it up to you. To make it up to Zishuan. He really knows he was wrong now. I pushed the envelope back toward her. Lu's mother was taken aback. Auntie Lu, I said, I don't want the apartment. If I wanted money, I would have made him leave with nothing when we divorced. I'm not that kind of person. She opened her mouth but couldn't find the words. As for Lu Chen, I stood up. Whether he knows he was wrong or not has nothing to do with me. He is my ex-husband, not my son. It's not my duty to teach him how to be a decent person. If you truly care about him, teach him properly what responsibility means, what it means to take ownership. Don't shift the blame for every mistake onto others as if the whole world owes him something. Lu's mother's face turned pale and then flushed. I pulled out a document from under the coffee table and placed it in front of her. It was a copy of Lin Wanru's medical examination report. I said, take this back and show it to Lu Chen. Let him think carefully about where he really lost. Lu's mother stared at the report, remaining silent for a long time. Then she stood up, picked up the craft paper bag, and looked at me. Sunyan, are you really not going to reconsider? No, she sighed and walked toward the door, pausing at the threshold to glance back at me. Zishuan, can I come visit her often? Of course, I said. You're Zishuan's grandmother. You can come see her anytime. She nodded, pushed the door open, and left. I stood at the doorway, watching her figure disappear into the elevator. Closing the door, Zishuan ran over, tilting his little face up to ask, Mommy, why did Grandma leave? Isn't she going to play with me? I crouched down and patted his head. Grandma had something to take care of. Zishuan, be good. Let's keep building with the blocks. Okay. I carried Zishuan back to the living room. As soon as I sat down, my phone rang. It was Ju Yaro calling. Nyan Nyan. Have you checked the company group chat? Her voice was brimming with excitement. No, what's up? Quick, take a look. That bitch Lin Wanru dug her own grave. She posted a long apology in the group, but then someone dug up who her ex-boyfriend is. I opened the company group chat and scrolled up. Lin Wanru had posted a long message last night, essentially saying she knew she was wrong, apologizing to CEO Lu and the company, and that she was willing to resign, hoping for everyone's forgiveness. Below, some people comforted her, others cursed her, and it turned into a chaotic mess. Then, this morning, an anonymous account posted a screenshot of a man's social media post. The photo showed Lin Wanru and the man in an intimate pose, with the caption, "Happy birthday to my little darling, even though we broke up. I still love you red heart hash." The post was from 2 months ago. In the comments, someone asked, "Didn't you two break up? Why are you still calling her little darling?" He replied, "Even if we broke up, we can still be friends. Besides, she's carrying my child." The group chat exploded. Holy shit, solid evidence. So the child really is her ex-boyfriend's, and she dared to claim it was CEO Lu's. How shameless. This woman is the ultimate green tea bitch. Reading these messages, the corners of my mouth lifted. Ju Yaro was laughing so hard on the phone she could barely catch her breath. Ha ha ha, Nyan Nyan, did you see that? Lin Wanru is completely finished now. Her ex-boyfriend personally came forward to expose her. Ha ha, ha ha ha, yeah, I saw it, I said. This is what they call you reap what you sow. By the way, what about Lu Chen? How did he react? He's in the hospital. He coughed up blood. Ju Yaro paused for 2 seconds, then burst into laughter, coughed up blood. Ha ha ha, serves him right. Let him cheat. Let him sleep with his secretary. Serves him right to cough up blood. I laughed too, after hanging up the phone. I held Zishuan and continued building blocks with her. Sunlight streamed in through the window, warm and cozy. Zishuan suddenly asked me, "Mom, will Dad live with us again in the future?" My hand paused. "No," I said. "Dad has his own home. Zishuan lives with Mom." Zishuan tilted her little head and thought for a moment, then nodded. "Okay, then, Mom, can I have a puppy?" "Yes, great." Looking at her happy, smiling face, the last bit of resentment in my heart completely melted away. The incident of Lin Wanru's ex-boyfriend personally exposing her had been fermenting in the company group chat for 3 whole days. Over those 3 days, various chat logs, screenshots, and revelations flew out like snowflakes. Some people dug up details about Lin Wanru's relationship with that man, others revealed how she had flirted with Lu Chen at the company, and some even posted her previous social media updates. Discovering that she had frequently posted ambiguous content several months ago, the most exciting part was that someone found another examination report from Lin Wanru 3 months ago, not an employment physical, but her prenatal checkup records from a private hospital. That record clearly stated, 6 weeks pregnant, due date March of the following year. Moreover, it included the fetus's DNA test data, although DNA testing isn't typically done in routine prenatal checkups. This girl had probably secretly undergone a non-invasive prenatal paternity test to confirm who the father was, and the results were stored in the file. The person who posted the screenshot said, "My friend works at that hospital and took this photo casually. Take a look at what's written on it." I zoomed in on the picture and examined it carefully. The report showed that the fetus's DNA was compared with the suspected father's sample, with a match rate below 0.1%. Conclusion: paternity excluded, and the name on the suspected father's sample was clearly written as Lu Chen. Lin Wanru had actually taken Lu Chen's sample for a paternity test. I was stunned for a moment, then figured it out. She must have secretly taken Lu Chen's toothbrush or hair for testing. Wanting to confirm if the child was his, when she found out it wasn't, she still decided to gamble and continued deceiving Lu Chen. This woman was simply insane. The group chat exploded again. Damn. She did the test herself, knew it wasn't President Lu's, and still lied to him, saying it was his. This woman is terrifying. Her scheming is downright frightening. President Lu is so pitiful, being played like a fool like this. I actually feel a bit sorry for President Lu now, even though he cheated. Being deceived like this is pretty pathetic. Scrolling through those messages, my feelings were complicated. Lu Chen was pitiful, but pitiable people often have their own despicable sides. If he hadn't entertained those crooked thoughts, could someone have taken advantage of the loophole? Just as I was thinking, my phone rang. It was Lu Chen's number. I hesitated for a moment, then answered. "Sun Yan." His voice was hoarse, like sandpaper grating. "Can you come to the hospital?" "What for?" I want to see you." He paused. "I have something I want to say to you in person." I thought for a moment. "All right, when is now okay?" I checked the time, 2 p.m. Zishuan was at my mom's place, so I could make a trip. "Send me the address." I hung up, changed my clothes, and went out to hail a taxi to the hospital. Lu Chen was staying in a private room on the 12th floor. When I pushed the door open, he was leaning against the headboard, staring blankly out the window. After just a few days apart, he had lost a significant amount of weight. His cheeks were sunken, his eye sockets hollow, and his face covered in stubble. There was no trace left of the confident, spirited Mr. Lu he used to be. Hearing the noise, he turned his head and saw me. His eyes lit up slightly. "Sun Yan, you're here." I sat down in the chair beside the bed. "What did you want to see me about?" He looked at me, remaining silent for a long while before finally speaking. "Did you see what was posted in the group chat?" I saw Lin Wanru. He had taken a paternity test himself and knew the child wasn't his, yet he kept lying to me. His voice trembled. I almost became the fool. I didn't say anything. He took a deep breath and continued. "Sun Yan, I know it's too late for apologies now, but I still want to tell you, I'm sorry. I was blind. I was foolish. I let you down." I looked at him without responding. Her eyes reddened. "I've been lying in the hospital these past few days, thinking a lot. I remembered our wedding day, how beautifully you smiled. I remembered when Zishuan was born, how you were drenched in sweat from the pain but still smiled at me. I remembered every time you made soup for me, reminding me to take my medicine on time. I forgot all of that. Because of a seductress and a few sweet words, I threw everything else aside. He lowered his head, his shoulders shaking, his voice choked with emotion. Sunyan, I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong. Can you give me a chance to make it up to you? The hospital room was utterly silent. I looked at this man who was once the most familiar person to me, but felt not a single ripple in my heart. Lu Chen, I said, did you ask me here just to say this? He lifted his head, his face streaked with tears. Sunyan, I really know I was wrong. You were wrong. I cut him off. Do you know where you went wrong? You were wrong for cheating. Wrong for being deceived by Lin Wanru, wrong for not controlling yourself. He froze. You were wrong because you never truly took me seriously. I spoke word by word. For 5 years of marriage, whenever your mother bullied me, you never said a word. When I was exhausted from taking care of the child, you called me overly sensitive. When I drank until I vomited while entertaining clients for you, you said it was my duty. In your eyes, I was just a nanny, a tool for bearing children. A decoration to make you look good. Her face paled. Lu Chen, I stood up. You didn't just realize you were wrong now, you've always known. But you didn't care because you never thought I was worth caring about. No, that's not whether it is or isn't doesn't matter anymore. I said, the divorce is final. You and I have nothing to do with each other. What happened with Lin Wanru is your own business. Whether you were deceived or taken advantage of, it's all on you. It has nothing to do with me. I turned to leave, but Sunyan called out to me. I stopped in my tracks. If I hadn't cheated back then, would we have been okay? I thought for a moment and said, no. He froze. Lu Chen, I didn't look back. Even if it wasn't Lin Wanru, there would have been a Wang Wanru or a Li Wanru. You didn't lose because you met her, you lost because that's just the kind of person you are. I've been married to you for 5 years, and I've seen through you long ago. I opened the door and walked out. In the hallway, a nurse pushing a cart passed by and paused when she saw me. I nodded at her and stepped into the elevator. As the elevator doors closed, I let out a long sigh of relief. Those words had been bottled up inside me for 5 years, and today I finally said them. It felt liberating. After leaving the hospital, I went straight to my mom's house. Zishuan was playing in the yard with the neighbor's child. When he saw me, he came running over. Mom. I picked him up and gave him a kiss. Having fun? Yes. He wrapped his arms around my neck. Mom, Grandma said she's making braised pork for dinner tonight. Great. Then we'll have dinner at Grandma's tonight. My mom came out of the house and looked at me as if she wanted to say something but hesitated. I put Zishuan down and let him go back to playing, then walked over and asked, Mom, what's wrong? She pulled me inside and lowered her voice. Lu Chen's mom just called, she said. She said she wants to see you. My mom's expression was complicated. She said she knows she was wrong and wants to apologize to you in person. I was taken aback for a moment, then smiled. Mom, there's no need. I have nothing to do with the Lu family anymore. There's nothing to apologize for. My mom looked at me and sighed. Nyan Nyan, have you really let go in your heart? I put my arm around her shoulders. Mom. It's not that I haven't let go, it's that I don't want to get entangled anymore. Wasting time with people like that isn't worth it. I have Zishuan, I have all of you, and living a good life on my own from now on is what matters most. My mom nodded and didn't say anything more. During dinner, my phone rang. It was a text message from an unknown number. Sister Sunyan, this is Lin Wanru. I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. The things I posted caused you to be criticized in the group. I'm sorry. I've already resigned and am planning to go back to my hometown. Can you forgive me? I looked at the message and smiled, then deleted it. I thought the matter with Lin Wanru was over. A week later, things suddenly escalated. That afternoon, I was at home tidying up when Ju Yaro called, her voice trembling. Nyan, quick, check the news. Something big has happened at the Lu Group. I opened my phone and scrolled to the headlines, where it was prominently written. Lu Group's female secretary suspected of job embezzlement, misappropriating company funds up to 8 million. I clicked in to read, and the details were shocking. It turned out that the headquarters had received an anonymous tip, alleging that Lin Wanru had taken advantage of her position during her tenure to collude with outsiders in transferring company funds. After the investigation team intervened, it was discovered that she had embezzled over 8 million through various means within half a year, all transferred to an account under the name Zhong Ming, who happened to be her ex-boyfriend. The two had conspired together, with one operating inside the company and the other handling things outside, transferring the money bit by bit. Originally, they had planned to pull off a few more jobs before fleeing together, but Lin Wanru got pregnant, and Zhong Ming, unwilling to take responsibility, ran off. Unable to handle it alone, she turned her attention to Lu Chen. Now, Zhong Ming had been arrested and confessed everything, while Lin Wanru was also taken away by the police for investigation. The comments under the news were already exploding. Damn, this woman is ruthless, scamming money, looks, and even emotions. The Lu Group really took a hit this time. The CEO got played by his secretary. I heard President Lu even divorced because of her, abandoning his wife and kids. Only to find out she was a fraud. Ha ha ha, serves him right. Who told him he couldn't control himself? Isn't this what they call lust is a knife hanging over your head? Scrolling through the comments, my heart was a mix of emotions. Lu Chen had truly fallen this time. My phone rang again. It was Lu Chen's number. I answered, and his utterly exhausted voice came through. Sun Yan, have you seen the news? Yes. He was silent for a long time before saying, the headquarters has set up an investigation team to look into my management responsibilities. I might have to resign to take the blame. I didn't say anything. His voice was hoarse as he continued, my life is completely ruined. I've lost the company, my wife, my son. I have nothing left. Lu Chen, I finally spoke. You didn't lose everything. You threw it all away yourself. He let out a bitter laugh. Yeah, I did it all myself. There was a commotion on his end. As if someone was calling him, he hurriedly said, I have to go, and hung up. I set my phone aside and continued tidying up, unsure of what I was feeling. There was a hint of satisfaction, but mostly, I felt nothing. This person had nothing to do with me anymore. That evening, I took Zixuan to the supermarket to buy groceries. Pushing the shopping cart through the snack aisle, Zixuan suddenly pointed ahead and said, Mom, it's Grandma. I looked up and saw Lu's mother standing not far away, holding a shopping basket and watching us. She had lost a lot of weight, her hair had turned grey in patches, and she looked a decade older. Seeing us, she froze for a moment before slowly walking over. Sun Yan, Zixuan. She forced a smile. Zixuan ran over and hugged her leg. Grandma, Lu's mother bent down to pat her head, her eyes reddening. I stood nearby without speaking. She stood up and looked at me, her lips moving as if she wanted to say something but couldn't get the words out. In the end, I spoke first. Are you okay? She shook her head, smiling bitterly. Not good. Lu Chen has been suspended, and the company might still hold him accountable. At home, the house was in complete disarray. I nodded without responding. She looked at me with a complicated expression. Sunyan, did you see early on that Lin Wanru was off? No, I said. If I had noticed earlier, I wouldn't have waited until now. She sighed. That's true. We were all deceived by her. After a few seconds of silence, she spoke again. Sunyan, I know nothing I say now will make a difference, but I still want to apologize on behalf of Lu Chen. The person he has wronged the most in his life is you. I looked at this once proud and critical elder before me, feeling a wave of emotion. Aunt Lu, I said, let the past be in the past, take care of your health. And you can come visit Zixuan when you have time. She was taken aback for a moment, then her eyes grew even redder. She nodded repeatedly. Okay, thank you, Sunyan. I pushed the shopping cart and called Zixuan. Continuing forward, after a few steps, I glanced back. My parents were still standing there watching us, tears streaming down their cheeks. My heart ached, but I turned around and kept walking. When we left the supermarket, it was already dark. Zixuan held my hand, skipping ahead. Mom, why was Grandma crying? Why was she sad? I thought for a moment and said, because someone did something wrong and hurt someone else. Zixuan tilted her little head, thinking for a while, then asked, did the person who did wrong apologize? They apologized. Did the person who was hurt forgive them? I looked ahead, silent for a few seconds, then said, Mom doesn't know either. Zixuan didn't ask any more questions and continued bouncing along ahead, back home. I set down my things and sat on the sofa, lost in thought. My phone rang. It was a WeChat message from Ju Yaro. Nian, what do you think about Lu Chen's situation? I replied, I have no opinion. Ju Yaro responded instantly. Don't you feel even a little sorry for him? I chuckled and typed. Did he feel sorry for me when he cheated? Ju Yaro sent a thumbs up emoji. I put my phone down and went to give Zixuan a bath. Lying in bed that night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Images from the day kept flashing through my mind. Lu's mother standing in the supermarket with tears in her eyes, the news report about Lin Wanru's arrest, Lu Chen's exhausted voice on the phone. I thought I had completely moved on, but these things still stirred up ripples in my heart, not heartache, not sympathy, just a complex mix of emotions. 5 years of marriage had ended just like that, in the most dramatic way, with the most humiliating outcome. The next morning, I dropped Zixuan off at kindergarten and then drove to Ju Yaro's shop. Ju Yaro runs a coffee shop with pretty good business. When I arrived, she was behind the counter grinding coffee beans. She looked up and asked, "What'll you have, latte?" As she made the coffee, she asked me about yesterday. "You really don't feel anything." I took the coffee and took a sip. What could I feel? We're divorced. His business has nothing to do with me. Ju Yaro looked at me and sighed. "Nian Nian. Sometimes I really admire you. You're so tough." I smiled. "It's not about being tough, it's about realizing some people aren't worth your time." Ju Yaro nodded and didn't say anything more. I sat in the shop all afternoon, watching her bustle around, occasionally chatting with a few regulars. In the evening, just as I was about to leave, the shop door opened. The person who walked in made me freeze. It was Lu Chen. He stood in the doorway wearing a wrinkled shirt, unshaven, his hair a mess. Looking like he just crawled out of a refugee camp. Ju Yaro nearly dropped the coffee cup in her hand when she saw him. "Lu Chen, what are you doing here?" He looked at me, his eyes pleading. "Sunyan, I want to talk to you." Ju Yaro stepped in front of me. "Talk about what? You're divorced. There's nothing to talk about." Yaro. I stood up and patted her shoulder. "It's fine, I'll talk to him." Ju Yaro glanced at me, muttering worriedly, "Be careful then, call me if anything happens." I nodded and walked toward Lu Chen. "Let's talk outside." We walked out of the coffee shop and stood by the street. The sky had darkened, and the streetlights had just come on. People came and went on the street, no one paying any attention to the two of us. Lu Chen looked at me, silent for a long while before finally speaking. "Sunyan, I'm finished," he said. I didn't respond. "The company's investigation results are out. I'm being held accountable for management negligence. Not only do I have to resign, but I also have to compensate for part of the losses." His voice was hoarse. "My savings, my house, my car, all of it will be used to pay off the debt. My mom even took out her retirement savings, but it still isn't enough." I still didn't say anything. He lowered his head, his shoulders trembling. "I have nothing left now, no company, no money, no reputation. My mom was so angry she ended up in the hospital. My relatives and friends won't even answer my calls. I'm completely alone, with nothing." I looked at him, unsure of what I was feeling. "Lu Chen," I said, "what did you come here to say?" He lifted his head, his eyes red. "Sunyan, I know I have no right to see you, but I really have nowhere else to go. Can I see Zixuan?" I was taken aback for a moment, just staring at him. He quickly added, "I won't disturb you, I just want to see him from a distance. I miss him," he said. I remained silent for a few seconds, then replied, "Zixuan is at kindergarten. You can pick him up after school tomorrow." His eyes lit up. "Really?" I said. "But remember, just to see him. Don't do anything else." I know. He nodded repeatedly. "Thank you, Sunyan, thank you." He turned to leave, took 2 steps, then stopped and looked back at me. "Sunyan, have you ever felt even a little bit sorry for me?" I looked at him and said, "No." His expression darkened, and he gave a bitter smile. "Yeah, I deserve it." Then he left. I stood there, watching his retreating figure, feeling a mix of emotions. Ju Yaro rushed out of the shop. "He's gone. What did he say to you?" "Nothing much," I replied. I turned and walked back. He wanted to see Zixuan, and I agreed. Ju Yaro widened her eyes. "You agreed? Are you crazy? It's just a look." I said he was Zixuan's father and had the right. Ju Yaro sighed. "Nian Nian, you're just too soft-hearted." I smiled and said nothing. The next day at 4 p.m., I arrived early at the kindergarten gate. Lu Chen was already there, hiding behind a tree. I walked over, and he looked a bit embarrassed when he saw me. I came early. At 4:10, the kindergarten opened, and the children came out in a line. Zixuan ran out from inside, saw me, and happily shouted, "Mom." Then he noticed Lu Chen, paused for a moment, and ran over, calling out, "Dad." Lu Chen crouched down and hugged him, tears instantly welling up. Zishuan patted his back a bit forcefully from the tight hug. Dad, why are you crying? Lu Chen wiped his tears and smiled. Dad's fine, I just missed Zishuan. Zishuan tilted his head and looked at him. Dad, you've lost weight. Lu Chen was taken aback for a moment, then smiled. Yeah, Dad's on a diet. I watched from the side, feeling a pang in my heart. Zishuan held Lu Chen's hand, chattering away about things at kindergarten. Lu Chen listened attentively, occasionally chiming in. After walking for a while, Zishuan suddenly asked, Dad, will you live with us again in the future? Lu Chen's expression froze for a moment. He glanced at me, then said, No, Dad has his own things to do. Zishuan, you must be good and live with Mom. Zishuan pouted. But I want Dad to live with me. Lu Chen's tears nearly fell again. He crouched down and patted Zishuan's head. Dad wants to live with Zishuan too, but Dad made a mistake and has to accept the punishment. When Dad gets better, I'll come see Zishuan again, okay? Zishuan thought for a moment, then nodded. Okay, Dad, you have to get better quickly. Good Dad will definitely get better quickly. Watching this scene, I couldn't quite describe the feeling in my heart. When it was time to part, Zishuan clung to Lu Chen's neck and wouldn't let go. Lu Chen coaxed her for a while before she finally released him. Zishuan held my hand, turned back, and waved to Lu Chen, saying, Daddy, goodbye, get better soon, okay. Lu Chen stood by the roadside, waving back, tears streaming down his face. I took Zishuan's hand and walked forward without looking back. After walking a long way, I glanced back and saw Lu Chen still standing there, watching us. At that moment, my heart softened a little, but only a little. Back home, Zishuan kept talking about Daddy. When I was putting him to bed, he held my hand and asked, Mommy, will Daddy come to see me again? Yes, he will. When will he get better? I thought for a moment and said, he'll get better by the time you grow up. Zishuan thought seriously, then nodded, closed his eyes, and fell asleep. I sat by his bedside, looking at his little face, feeling a mix of emotions in my heart. A week later, I received a call from Lu Chen's number, but the person speaking was a woman. Hello, is this Ms. Sunyan? I'm a nurse at the hospital. Mr. Lu Chen is here with us, and he wants to see you. Are you able to come? My heart tightened. What happened to him? There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line before she said, he attempted suicide by cutting his wrist last night. Fortunately, he was discovered in time, and his condition is stable now, but he keeps calling your name. I stood there, stunned, holding the phone. After hanging up, I remained frozen in place for a long time. Lu Chen had actually attempted suicide by cutting his wrist. My mind was a mess, with all sorts of thoughts flooding in. But in the end, I changed my clothes, went out, and took a taxi to the hospital. When I arrived at the hospital, I found the ward and pushed the door open. Lu Chen was lying in the hospital bed, his wrist wrapped in thick bandages, his face as pale as paper. He was taken aback when he saw me enter, and then tears began to fall. Sunyan, you're here. I walked to the bedside, looking at him without saying a word. He reached out to pull me, but I took a step back. His hand hung in midair, stiffened for a moment, then slowly withdrew. I'm sorry, he said, his voice hoarse. I've caused you trouble again. Lu Chen, I spoke up. What are you doing? Trying to die. Do you think death will solve everything? He lowered his head and remained silent. Do you think if you die, others will sympathize with you? Say you're pitiful. My voice rose. They won't. They'll just say, Lu Chen, that useless coward, couldn't handle being cheated out of money, no backbone. His shoulders trembled. You still have a son, I continued. Zishuan is only 3 years old. How do you want him to think of his father in the future? Do you want him to grow up and have others ask how his father died, only for him to say suicide? He looked up, tears streaming down his face. Sunyan, I know, I was wrong, but I really can't go on. I have nothing left. You have nothing left. I sneered. You still have your life, your hands and feet. You're only in your early 30s. How can you say you have nothing? He froze. I took a deep breath, suppressing the anger in my heart. Lu Chen, let me tell you what you owe me. What you owe Zishuan, you'll never be able to repay in this lifetime. If you truly feel guilty, then live well, earn money properly, and give me Zishuan's child support without missing a single cent. If you die, who am I supposed to collect this debt from? He looked at me, tears still flowing. Don't be foolish again. I said, living well is better than anything. I turned to leave. Sunyan, he called out to me. I stopped. Thank you, he said, his voice choked. Thank you for coming to see me, and thank you for still being willing to say these things to me. Without looking back, I pushed the door open and left. Leaving the hospital, the sky had already darkened. I stood by the roadside and took a deep breath. The night breeze blew over, cool and comfortable. My phone rang. It was Ju Yaro calling. How is Lu Chen? She asked. He's fine, I said. He won't die. Did you go see him? Ju Yaro fell silent for a moment, then said, Nyan Nyan. Are you still not over him? I looked at the neon lights in the distance, thought for a moment, and replied, it's not that I'm not over him, it's just that he is, after all, Zishen's father. I can't let Zishen grow up without a dad. Ju Yaro sighed. You're just too kind. I smiled, said nothing, and hung up the phone. I took a taxi home, pushing the door open. The house felt warm and cozy. My mom was in the living room playing with Zishen and building blocks, seeing me return. She looked up and asked, how is he? Is everything okay? I changed my shoes and walked in. Zishen ran over and hugged my leg. Mom, where did you go? Mom had something to take care of outside. I picked him up. Zishuan, are you being good? Grandma says I'm very good. I kissed his little cheek and held him as I sat on the sofa. My mother glanced at me from the side, hesitating to speak. I knew what she wanted to ask, but I had no intention of saying anything. After putting Zishuan to sleep at night, I sat alone on the balcony, gazing at the night view outside, my mind a jumbled mess. I thought of many things of 5 years ago when I had just gotten married, and Lu Chen held my hand, promising to be good to me for a lifetime. I thought of when Zishuan was born. And he held our son, laughing like a fool. I thought of every time he came home from working overtime, and I warmed up food for him, and he would eat while saying, thank you, dear. I thought of that night when he sat in the living room and told me he had slept with Lin Wanru. I thought of how his hand trembled when he signed the divorce agreement. I thought of today, of him lying in the hospital bed, his face pale in the photo. I thought of so much, but in the end, those images slowly faded. Like waking from a dream, the next morning, I got up, made breakfast, took Zishuan to kindergarten, and then went to a real estate agency to look at properties. I decided to use the money from the divorce to open a small shop. After searching for a week, I finally found a suitable place over 30 square meters, right at the entrance of the residential area, with reasonable rent and good foot traffic. I signed the contract, paid the rent, and started renovating. I left early and returned late every day, so busy I barely had time to catch my breath. Though tired, I felt at peace inside. A month later, my small shop opened, a children's clothing store selling kids' clothes, shoes, and toys. The shop wasn't big, but it was warmly decorated, and Zishuan loved it especially. On opening day, Ju Yaro came to help, and my mother came too. Zishuan ran around the shop in his new clothes. Business was pretty good. We sold dozens of items on the first day. Though we didn't make much money, seeing the satisfied smiles of the customers filled me with a special sense of contentment. In the evening, as I was tidying up in the shop, the glass door was pushed open, and the person who entered made me pause. It was Lu Chen. He stood at the door, wearing a clean shirt, his beard shaved, his hair neatly combed, looking much more spirited. He smiled when he saw me. I heard you opened a shop, so I came to take a look. I nodded without saying a word. He walked around the shop, looking at the clothes on the wall and commenting that the decor was quite nice. He then approached the cash register, took an envelope from his pocket, and placed it on the counter. What is this? Child support for the past few months, he said. I'm working at a small company now. The pay isn't high, but I won't miss the child support. I looked at the envelope without moving. He took a step back and said, Sunyan, thank you for coming to see me that day. I've remembered everything you said. I'll live well, earn money properly, and raise Zishuan. I watched him, feeling a mix of emotions. He smiled, turned, and walked toward the door. At the entrance, he paused and looked back at me. Sunyan, don't worry, I won't bother you again. If you ever need anything regarding Zishuan in the future, just call me. I'll always be here. He pushed the door open and left. I stood there, watching his figure disappear into the crowd. That evening, I went home and opened the envelope. Inside was a thick stack of money and a note. The note read, Sunyan, thank you for giving me a second chance at life. I owe you in this lifetime, and I'll repay you in the next. I put the note away and placed the money in a drawer. Zishuan ran over and asked, "Mom, did Dad come to see me today?" "No, not today." He looked a little disappointed but quickly brightened up. "Mom, we have a performance at kindergarten tomorrow. Can you come?" "Of course. Mom will definitely be there." "Great." Seeing his happy smile, I couldn't help but smile too. Outside the window, night fell, and a new day was about to begin. Epilogue. 3 years later, sunlight streamed through the glass door, illuminating the succulent plant on the cash register. I handed the last cup of coffee to a customer by the window, then turned back to the counter, casually wiping away a few splashes of water. "Mom," Zishuan's voice came from behind. I turned around and saw him bouncing down the stairs with his backpack on, his school uniform crooked on one side. "Slow down." I bent over to straighten his collar and adjust his backpack. "There, all set." He shook the water bottle in his hand. "Mom, can you pick me up after school today?" "Of course, I can." I kissed his forehead. "Hurry up now. Don't be late." Zishuan is in first grade, and his school is right across the street. It's a 5-minute walk. Before leaving, he ran back, leaned on the counter, and whispered, "Mom, that uncle is here again." "Which uncle?" "The one who keeps looking at you." He gestured with his chin toward the corner. I followed his gaze and saw a man sitting in the booth against the wall. He looked to be in his early 30s, wearing glasses, with an Americano in front of him and a book in his hand. The man in glasses did glance over from time to time. Go on, what do kids know?" I nudged him. Zishuan laughed and ran off. I returned to the counter and continued wiping glasses. This cafe was opened with the money I got from my divorce. It's not big, but it's cozy. 3 years in, from selling just 3 to 5 cups a day at the beginning to now having more and more regulars, life has settled into a comfortable rhythm. "Sunny in." Someone called my name. I looked up and saw Ju Yaro rushing in on high heels, her face full of gossip. "What brings you here so early in the morning?" I asked. Something big. She leaned on the counter and lowered her voice. "Guess who I saw yesterday?" "Who?" "Lin Wanru." I didn't stop what I was doing. "Oh, is that all the reaction I get?" Ju Yaro widened her eyes. "I saw her at the hospital. She was there alone for a prenatal checkup. Her belly already big, without a man by her side." I put the cleaned cup back on the shelf. What does her pregnancy have to do with me? The point is, she seemed to be living a miserable life. Her clothes and appearance were nothing like before. Her face sallow, and I almost didn't recognize her. Ju Yaro leaned closer to me. "Don't you want to know whose child it is?" "I don't." Ju Yaro sighed. "What about Lu Chen? Don't you want to know how he's doing?" I glanced at her. "Say it if you want to." Ju Yaro immediately perked up. "I heard from my husband that the Lu Group was acquired last year. Lu Chen is now working at some small company. Seems like as a salesperson, running around to meet clients every day. His mother had a stroke. Half paralyzed, living in a nursing home. Lu Chen has to repay debts every month and pay for the nursing home, barely scraping by." I turned on the coffee machine. Steam hissed out, buzzing loudly. Ju Yaro tugged at my sleeve. "Don't you feel even a little bit sorry for him?" "Sorry for what?" I turned to look at her. Did he feel sorry for me when he cheated? Did he feel sorry for me when he forced me to divorce? Fair enough. Ju Yaro let go of my sleeve. "I just think it's quite sad how the once glamorous young master of the Lu family has fallen to this state." "Sad?" I didn't say anything. The bell at the door chimed welcome. I instinctively spoke up, then froze. The person who walked in was wearing a wrinkled shirt. His hair noticeably grayer, his face unshaven, with sunken eyes, a far cry from the well-dressed Lu Chen of 3 years ago. He paused at the door when he saw me. Ju Yaro recognized him too, her mouth forming an O. "Sun Yan." Lu Chen spoke first, his voice hoarse. I put down the rag, my tone very calm. "What would you like to drink?" "Me." He took a step forward and then stopped. "I don't want anything to drink. I just wanted to come see you and Zishuan." "Zishuan is at school," I said. "If you want to see him, school ends at 4:30 in the afternoon. You can take a look from a distance." Sun Yan's eyes reddened. Ju Yaro, sitting nearby, fidgeted uneasily and whispered, I'll head out first, you two talk." After saying that, she grabbed her bag and ran to the door, glancing back at me before leaving. The shop fell quiet. Lu Chen stood in front of the counter, looking awkward and at a loss. I had never seen him like this before. In the past, he was manager Lu, the young master of the Lu family, walking with an air of authority, his words always carrying a tone of command. Now, standing before me, He seemed like a child who had done something wrong. Have a seat, I pointed to the bar stool. Would you like water or coffee? Water is fine. I poured a glass of warm water and pushed it toward him. He held it with both hands, didn't drink, just held it like that. Have you been doing well? He asked. Pretty good. I gestured around the shop, as you can see. Business is okay. Zishuan's grades are good. His teacher says he's smart. That's good. That's good. He lowered his head, looking at the water in the glass. I'm sorry to you both. I didn't speak. He was silent for a long time, then suddenly said, Lin Wanru, that child isn't mine. She had been with someone else for a while, got pregnant, and wanted me to take the blame. At the time, I know, I interrupted him. He looked up. You know about the paternity test? I heard about it. I leaned against the counter, looking at him. Later, he gave a bitter smile. Something happened at the company. It was discovered that she had embezzled company funds, and I got implicated, suspended for investigation. Then later, the headquarters withdrew their investment. The group couldn't hold on and went bankrupt. Amham, he nodded. My mother got so angry she fell ill. She's in a nursing home now. I'm buried in debt. Have to make payments every month. I listened. Feeling no particular emotion. Ju Yao had already told me all this earlier. So, what do you want by coming here today? I asked directly. He was taken aback, then shook his head. I don't want anything. It's just, these past few years, I've always wanted to see you and Zishuan. To tell you in person that I'm sorry, is sorry useful? He was left speechless. Lu Chen, I said, the person you've wronged isn't me, it's yourself. When you chose to betray me back then. You should have known this day would come. I know. He lowered his head, his shoulders slumping. I'm not here to ask for your forgiveness. I just wanted to see our son one last time before I leave this city for good. Yeah, he said he can't stay here anymore. A friend of mine runs a small factory down south and asked me to come help. I'm leaving tomorrow. I looked at him, the man who was so full of ambition 3 years ago, now so down on his luck he can't even afford a plane ticket. Heading south to rely on a friend. At 4:30, I said you can wait for him across from the school, by the entrance of the little convenience store. He comes out from that gate every day. Lu Chen's eyes lit up. Just one look. Really, don't talk to him. He's only seen you a few times and doesn't remember you anymore. Don't scare him. Okay, he nodded repeatedly. He got down from the high stool, walked to the door, then turned back. Sunyan, thank you for being willing to see me. I didn't answer. The doorbell chimed as he walked out. The sunlight made the glass door gleam, stretching his silhouette long and thin. At 4:30 in the afternoon, I closed up my stall early and walked to the school gate. Zishuan's class was lining up to come out, a bunch of little heads with yellow caps, chattering away. I stood at the back of the crowd, catching a glimpse of someone standing by the entrance of the convenience store across the street. Lu Chen. He had changed into a cleaner shirt and had wet his hair, but it was still messy. He craned his neck, staring intently at the school gate. Zishuan came out, playfully roughhousing with his classmates, his backpack strap slipping down to his elbow without a care. Zishuan, I called him. He ran over, sweating all over. Mom, I wiped his sweat. Are you hot? Hot. We ran in P.E. today, and I came in first. That's amazing. The teacher praised me. He tugged my hand as we walked home. Mom. What's for dinner today? What do you want to eat? I want fried chicken. No, we just had that yesterday. Then pizza. We had that the day before. Zishuan pouted and glanced back, suddenly asking her mom, who is that uncle? He keeps looking at us. I followed her gaze and saw Lu Chen still standing there, his eyes red. When he noticed me looking at him, he quickly lowered his head, pretending to check his phone as if he didn't know me. I said, maybe he's waiting for his child. Zishuan soon forgot about it and tugged at my hand as we continued walking. Mom, it's the weekend tomorrow. Let's go to the park. Okay, I want to fly a kite. Sure, and we'll have ice cream too. Alright, we walked farther away, and though I didn't look back, I knew that person was still standing at the entrance of the small shop, watching our figures disappear. After Zishuan fell asleep that night, I sat alone in the shop, staring blankly at the streetlights outside the window. My phone buzzed. It was a WeChat message from Ju Yao. How did it go? Did he come? He came. Did he see our son? Yes, and then he left. You just let him go like that. I typed. What? Should I have invited him to stay for dinner? Ju Yao sent a string of ellipses, then said, Sunyan, you've really changed. You used to love him so much, to the point of being utterly devoted. I stared at the screen for a while without replying. Loving him was a thing of the distant past. Back then, I was 24 and thought marrying him would be the happiest thing in my life. I cooked for him, washed his clothes, served tea to his mother, gave birth to his child, and treated him like the center of my world. And what happened? He slept with his secretary, came home and confessed, expecting me to be magnanimous and forgive him. That's how he trampled all over my love. Now, things are pretty good. I have my own shop, my son, a few friends I can talk to, every day. I open the shop early and close it at night. Life is as plain as water. But then the doorbell rang. I looked up. It was the bespectacled male customer who had come in the morning. He was back again in the evening. Are you still open? He asked. We're open until 10. I stood up, still the same as before. He paused for a moment, then smiled. You remember what I ordered? You were just here this morning. Of course I remember. He walked to the bar and sat down, placing the book on the counter. I glanced at the cover. It was a book on business management. Do you run a company? I asked while making coffee. Just a small business, she replied, taking the coffee and thanking me. How long has this shop been open? 3 years. No wonder the decor feels so warm and homely. Thank you. He took a sip of coffee and added, that boy this morning was your son, right? He's quite adorable, 7 years old, and I'm raising him alone. I looked up at him, and he quickly waved his hands. I didn't mean anything by it, just asking since I saw you managing everything on your own. It's fine, I said, I'm used to it. He nodded and didn't ask further. The shop fell quiet again. With only the sound of the coffee machine filling the space, life just went on like that. After Lu Chen left, I never thought about him again. Occasionally, Ju Yaro would mention him, but I only listened to stories about Lin Wanru. I never asked how she was doing. What did it have to do with me? One day, a young woman in a suit walked into the shop and asked, Are you Sun Yan? Yes. She handed me a business card. I'm Lawyer Liu, entrusted by Mr. Lu Chen to handle some formalities. I was taken aback. What formalities? Mr. Lu Chen sold the last property under his name. After clearing his debts, there was some money left. He asked me to transfer it to you as child support for your son, Lu Zixuan. She took an envelope out of her bag. Here's 300,000. Please count it. I stared at the envelope without taking it. Where did he get the property? I asked. It was an old house under his mother's name. After the elderly lady passed away, he sold it. Lu's mother passed away. Yes, last month, Lawyer Liu said. After Mr. Lu Chen handled the aftermath, he went south. This money was specifically arranged by him before he left. I remained silent for a long time before finally taking the envelope. After Lawyer Liu left, I sat alone in the shop, staring blankly at the stack of money. Lu's mother had passed away, the old lady who once looked down on me for being poor and unworthy of her son. Did she ever imagine, before she died, that her son would end up like this? Did she ever think that the daughter-in-law she despised would now be running a shop alone, raising her grandson? I didn't know, and I didn't want to know. I put the money away and went back to work. A few more days passed, and that afternoon, there weren't many people in the shop. I was wiping glasses when Zixuan came back from school. He was doing his homework at the bar when he suddenly looked up and said, Mom, that uncle who was standing at the convenience store entrance last time is here again. My hand paused for a moment. Where is he? He pointed at the window. I looked through the glass and saw a man standing across the street. It wasn't Lu Chen, it was that bespectacled male customer. He was holding a bouquet of flowers, standing on the opposite sidewalk. When he saw me looking at him, he smiled nervously. Zixuan leaned over and asked, Mom, what does that uncle want? Do your homework. He shrank back but kept sneaking glances over there. I ignored the man across the street and continued wiping the glasses. He stood there for a while and finally crossed the street, pushing the door open. He stood at the entrance, holding the flowers. I don't know if you like flowers, so I bought some, he said. I looked at him but didn't take them. My name is Chen Mingyuan. He introduced himself. I'm 34, run a small company, have been divorced once, and have no children. I like your shop. The coffee you make, and you, if you think I'm being too forward, just forget I said anything. Consider these flowers as decoration for the shop. Zixuan was giggling beside me, covering his mouth. I shot him a glare. Chen Mingyuan was still holding the flowers, his face flushed. I walked over and took the flowers. Thank you, I said. His eyes lit up, but I placed the flowers on the bar. I haven't thought about these things for now. I need to focus on raising my son first. It's fine. It's fine, he said, waving his hands repeatedly. I can wait, I'm in no hurry. Zishuan chimed in. Uncle, my mom likes milk tea. Zishuan. Chen Mingyuan smiled. Then I'll bring milk tea next time. After he left, Zishuan leaned on the bar and asked, Mom, does that uncle want to be your boyfriend? Why do you care so much? I'm just asking. He blinked. I think he's nice. Better than your ex-husband. I was taken aback. What did you say? Zishuan lowered his head, fiddling with a pencil. Actually, I knew that the uncle who stood by the snack shop last time was my dad. Aunt Ju Yaro said my dad went to a faraway place. I didn't say anything. Mom, he looked up at me. Won't that uncle come back after he leaves? He won't come back. He nodded, then lowered his head to do his homework again. Will this new uncle stay here all the time? I looked at the street outside the window, the sunset dyeing the whole street golden. I don't know, I said. Will you let him stay here all the time? I patted his head. We'll see. After closing up for the night, I deposited the 300,000 yuan in the bank. On the way back, I passed by the restaurant Lu Chen and I used to frequent. It had long been closed, with a 4 transfer note stuck on the door. I stood there for a while, remembering how he used to bring me here for every anniversary. Back then, he was so considerate, remembering what I like to eat, that I don't eat cilantro, my birthday, our wedding anniversary, Valentine's Day. But so what? He still cheated. I turned and walked back. My phone rang. It was Ju Yao. Sunyan, did you know, Lin Wanru gave birth, a girl, but it's not that mistress's. The guy ran off long ago. Now she's alone, renting in a village in the city with the child. I heard she's having a really hard time. Is that all you have to say? What else? Should I go deliver eggs to her? Ju Yao laughed on the other end of the line. Sunyan, you've really changed. But it's a good change. You don't care about these rotten people anymore. After hanging up, I walked home. The September night breeze was a bit chilly. There was a vendor selling sugar-roasted chestnuts by the roadside. I bought a pack, still warm, and tucked it into my pocket. When I got home, Zishuan was already asleep. The nanny said she washed up and went to bed by herself, and even asked when Mom would be back. I went to her room and saw her sleeping soundly, her little face flushed. I kissed her, then gently closed the door. Back in my own room, I sat by the window, peeling a chestnut to eat. My phone rang, a text from an unfamiliar number. Sunyan, I've already arrived in the south. Thank you for letting me see our son. Take care, Lu Chen. I stared at it for a few seconds, then put the phone down. Outside the window, the moon was big and round. I peeled another chestnut. The second example. The next morning, I opened the shop as usual. Sunlight streamed in, and the succulent plants on the counter were lush and green. Zishuan ran downstairs with his backpack, saying, Mom, I'm off. Take it easy. He ran to the door but then turned back. Mom, if that uncle comes today, can you ask him to wait until I get out of school? I want to see if the milk tea he brings tastes good. I smiled and said, hurry up and go to school. He ran off with a grin. At 9:30, Chen Mingyuan pushed the door open, really carrying 2 cups of milk tea, one for you and one for the kid. He placed the milk tea on the counter. I went to this shop last night specifically to learn about it. It was recommended online as the best. I looked at the 2 cups of milk tea, then at him. He rubbed his hands nervously. I know you're busy. I won't disturb you. I'll just sit over there and read. You can drink the milk tea or not, it's up to you. After saying that, he took his coffee and sat in his usual spot, opening that book on business management. Sunlight fell on him. I picked up the cup of milk tea, inserted the straw, and took a sip. It was strawberry-flavored and very sweet. When Zishuan came home from school and saw the milk tea, he jumped for joy. Mom, did that uncle bring this? Amham, he's really nice. He took a sip of the milk tea. It's delicious. Mom, can you ask him to come again next time? I glanced at Chen Mingyuan. He was reading, but his big ears were clearly perked up. We'll see, I said. Zishuan ran off to do his homework. Chen Mingyuan peeked out from behind his book, giving me a half-smile. I lowered my head to wipe a cup, the corner of my mouth curling up slightly. Life, after all, must always look forward. As for those rotten people and rotten things, let them stay in the past.